$168 million per year direct response ad creative strategy. In this video, I'm going to share how a brand that is doing over $100 million per year produces ad creatives that they can spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on every single month. And I'm actually going to break down these ad creatives step by step, frame by frame, to show you the frameworks and the consumer psychology principles and the direct response principles that they're using that are baked into these ad creatives, which are essential if you want to start producing ad creatives you can spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on every single month and still maintain your targets for ROAS or customer acquisition cost. Producing winning ad creatives on Meta is one of the biggest bottlenecks that e-commerce brands face when they're trying to scale. And I create these videos to help e-commerce brand owners just like you discover new strategies you can apply to your own e-commerce brand to help you scale much faster. So without further ado, let's dive into the video. Just a quick refresh on the Shopify dashboard here for one of our clients. You can see last 12 months, just over $9 million in revenue. I just want to show you that I'm qualified to speak on the topic of growing e-commerce brands, and the information I'm going to share with you today is based on experience. Everything I share with you is what we do for our clients. We help clients scale to 8 figures. If that's what you're interested in, there's a link down below this video. You can check us out. But to get right into the video, I have 2 ads that I've broken out here and broken these down frame by frame. We're going to be looking at these individual frames, but first of all, we're going to watch the ad end to end so that you can get an understanding of how the ad looks. And then what we're going to do is we're going to break it down. Okay, so let's pull up the first ad and we'll watch that.
This was my hairline 6 months ago, and this is it now. Notice how the temples are completely filled in, how the crown went from thin and patchy to thick and full. Even my barber couldn't believe it. He kept asking what expensive treatment I was using, but I didn't use minoxidil, didn't take finasteride, didn't get a transplant, and definitely didn't waste money on supplements. I just switched to Spartan Root Activator Shampoo. That's it. Inside this bottle is a natural DHT blocking formula that wakes up dormant follicles with licorice root extract, floods your scalp with nutrients using Panax ginseng, and stimulates new growth with Eclipta prostrata. No prescriptions, no side effects, no complicated routines. Just use it 4 times a week in the shower. I started seeing baby hairs within weeks. By month 3, even my wife noticed the difference. And now at 6 months, my hair looks better than it has in years. Right now, you can grab 3 bottles of Spartan for 60% off. Plus, test it risk-free for 90 days. If you don't see new growth, get every penny back. But hurry, this offer won't last long. Order now while supplies last.
Okay, so generally speaking, like a decently long ad, a minute long, right? Not too long, but it's also not super short. And one thing that I wanted to mention as well is that the ads that really have direct response principles baked into them, that do a lot of this selling, a lot of this education, are generally longer than normal, right? It's very hard to do everything in a 30-second ad. I'm not saying it's not possible, but with more time, you can do more education, okay? So let's start with the hook, right? The start of the video. Now the hook is strong before and after visuals, and it clearly shows the hair growth transformation, right? If we just pull this up again, and we just look at the hook, we look at the first 3 seconds.
This was my hairline 6 months ago, and this is it now.
Right? It's before and after. It's one of the strongest marketing principles because it's show, don't tell. And it also shows the current state of our customer, and then it shows the desired state, and it shows proof, right? So before and after is killer, and this is an amazing hook.
Notice how the temples are completely filled.
Right, then it goes deeper into this problem agitation and also like going deeper into the desired outcome, right? Because yes, you want the fuller hair, but it's like, hang on, no, notice how the temples are completely filled in, right? And we're talking to people who are likely, the receding hairline around their temples, right?
How the crown went from thin and patchy to thick and full.
Right, more before and afters, more before and afters.
Even my barber couldn't.
Right, now we get into this next phase where even my barber couldn't believe it, right? And this is where we start introducing a little bit of authority as well. So it highlights the dramatic improvements as we saw, but then reinforce validation from the barber, right? So any authority provides that stamp of approval, that additional trust, where we're bringing in someone, in this case, a barber who's an authority on hair, they're saying that even my barber couldn't believe it, right? By the way, if you're a new viewer here, my name is Jordan Hayes. I actually run a marketing agency where we help e-commerce brands scale their revenue profitably. Now, if you're running an e-commerce brand, you're doing over 100K per month in revenue, and you're facing challenges with scale, maybe your ads or your funnel is not working as well as it used to or should be, or even if it's just a lack of time and resource to put into scaling this part of the business, then that's exactly what we help with. So down below this video, there'll be a link to book a call with me. We'll have a conversation about your business, learn more about the challenges, your objectives, and see if there's a fit for us to work together. Worst case scenario, I can provide some insights as we're seeing with our other clients to help you at your current stage of your business. And as I mentioned, this is for brands who are doing at least 100K per month in revenue and they need help with scaling and obviously want to scale profitably. And in the way in which we help brands scale is we provide services across both customer acquisition and customer retention, done for you services which are completely hands-off. We take care of everything for you. And that includes media buying, CRO, landing pages, ad creative, email marketing, SMS marketing, overall growth strategy, lifetime value optimization, all that stuff, okay? So With that said, let's get back to the video. Now move on to the next frame of the video, so we'll just pull this back up and continue watching.
He kept asking what expensive treatment I was using, but I didn't use
Okay, so now we're getting into failed solutions. And this is so important, because if you want to educate customers on, first of all, like the problem itself, right? This is obviously for a problem-aware audience. They're aware that they're losing hair. Okay, this is the stage of market awareness that we're targeting. Every market has 5 stages of awareness. You want to know which one you're targeting, because that is going to dictate the style of ads you produce and the script itself. Okay, so what we're doing right now is we're talking about failed solutions. We're talking about things that customers have likely tried or maybe even already using, like minoxidil, as we're going to see right now.
Minoxidil, didn't take finasteride, didn't get a transplant, and definitely didn't waste money on supplements. I just switched.
Okay, so that's, we're highlighting the objections and the failed solutions, right? We're listing traditional hair loss solutions viewers might doubt or fear, right? Expensive treatments, prescriptions, supplements, eliminates consumer hesitations as well. Okay, so now it also creates this intrigue, because well, what is it, right? If it's not all these things that I know of to regrow hair, then what is it, right? And it's something obviously new to the user. So what we're doing right now is it's a perfect time to introduce the solution as the product. Okay, so let's watch the next part.
Just Spartan Root Activator Shampoo. That's it. Inside this bottle is a natural.
Okay, so we introduce the product itself, right? Product intro. We introduce that as a sole solution. And then what we're doing is we're explaining the features by explaining the natural ingredients, the direct benefits of those ingredients, but also the unique mechanism, right? And this is going to be so important, as I'm going to explain in just a moment.
EHT blocking formula that wakes up dormant follicles with licorice root extract.
Okay, so now we're getting into the unique mechanism.
Floods your scalp with nutrients using Panax ginseng and stimulates new growth with Eclipta prostrata. No prescriptions, no side effects.
Okay, so the key with the unique mechanism, the reason why it's so important is because consumers are going to look and research other products, right? They're going to research, is there another product out there that's similar to this but cheaper, right? They're going to do that. And when you educate customers on a unique mechanism and that your product is different and there's nothing else like it, and you dispel all the other options out there, right? You can't get this anywhere else. It's not minoxidil, it's not finasteride, it's not, minoxidil, finasteride, none of those things. What you're doing is you're creating a category of 1 for your product, right? And that's what you want to do, because it just means that the conversion rate on that's going to be higher. Now we're getting into more of the ease and simplicity, right? We address the ease of use, right? With no prescriptions, no side effects, no complicated routines, right? If you think of like the Hormozi offer equation, on the bottom of the equation, we're trying to lower the effort and sacrifice, right? We're trying to lower the amount of effort that our customers need to put in to get the desired outcome, okay? And also we're highlighting the simplicity and convenience, which again goes back into that offer equation again. So let's just watch this part.
No complicated routines. Just use it 4 times a week in the shower.
Right, now we're getting into time. Just use it 4 times a week in the shower.
Started seeing baby hairs with.
And then when you can expect the result. This is really important. If you can do this, definitely do it. You want to start to set an expectation of when the desired outcome can be achieved. So important.
Weeks. By month 3, even my wife noticed the difference.
Right, and by month 3, etc., etc. Now, I want to pause here and just share something that's super important because you can look at this ad and, it has these frameworks, amazing. And the reason why, I share these frameworks and break it down like this is because this is what we do in my agency, right? Rather than like throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks, which most people do, and you never really learn from the ads that you're running. Instead, if you have a flywheel creative process, a system that allows you to build these modular ads based on frameworks, based on these individual blocks that we're just seeing here, right? That we put them together and we create a framework, we create an ad that is based on that and based on direct response principles, consumer psychology. And when we test that ad, when we analyze it, we can look at the retention graphs and we can look at where the drop-offs are. And we can look at 3 seconds drop-off. Okay, what are we showing in that 3 seconds? And then what can we do to replace that to maybe increase the retention there, right? So this is really the game, and you start to get into the more scientific side of the creative process, right? So it really is as much of a science as it is an art, because you need to create iterations, and that's really where the money comes in. The money comes in the iterations. So if we look at this process here, we're coming up with the research, the angles, we produce the creatives, we test the creatives, we get the data, but then we iterate, right? The iterations are the key. Right, of course, you have the frameworks, you have that base, but the iterations allow you to always get better. Every time you do that cycle, that flywheel, every time you're learning, you're improving, and the amount of ads you're finding that are winners increases, right? Your win rate, your hit rate, whatever you want to call it, increases, right? So what we just saw right here, if I just jump back to this timeline, right, where it says,
I started seeing baby hairs within weeks. By month 3, even my wife noticed the difference.
Okay, now this is a method of intensification, right? Intensification is a direct response principle, and what it just means is it means to make things more vivid, and it means to elevate and make more vivid the desire that your customer has, right? And obviously that's going to lead to higher click-through rate. It's going to lead to more action from a user. So there's a number of different intensification. I think there's like 13 or 14 in total, but I've got 6 here that I've seen in these 2 ads. And one of them is stretch out the benefits in time, right? This is basically just saying you can get the benefit, but this is it in weeks, this is it in 3 months, right? We're showing a timeline, right? I touched on that before. Share a timeline, share some sort of expectation for when they can achieve the desired outcome, right? So that's what we're seeing here.
And now at 6 months, my hair looks better than it has in years. Right now, you can grab 3 bottles.
Right, so we're seeing this another subtle before and after here
Right
again.
now, you can grab 3 bottles of Spartan for 60% off.
Now we're getting into the offer, right? So we just go back here. Obviously, we saw personal testimonial, right? Credibility, and then, yeah, CTA, and then we're going to see risk reversal as well, which is key.
Plus, test it risk-free for 90 days. If you don't see new growth, get every penny back. But hurry.
So that risk reversal and the guarantee is another form of intensification, right? It's another way to prove your claims.
Offer won't last long. Order now while supplies last.
Right, a little bit of urgency and scarcity there as well. And this is really the ad, okay? And then final screen for the CTA. So very, very well-structured ad. And, there's other things I want to highlight here. There's some principles from the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. One of my favorite books. If you haven't read that book, I'd highly recommend you read that book. If you run a business, I think it's required reading, but it also helps you pretty much in all areas of life. The first, one of the principles I wanted to cover is arousing the other person in eager want, right? So this goes for any ad, right? But what we're doing is we're making the desired outcome so vivid, and we're making the before and afters like this irrefutable evidence that this thing works, right? And the want is that they want the outcome, they want the fuller hair, they want the thicker hair. So in the beginning of the video, notice how there was the temples have grown in, the crown is fuller, like we're arousing that eager want, okay? The second thing I wanted to highlight is get the other person saying yes immediately, right? So if you are suffering from the problem of hair loss and you see this, you're subconsciously you're going to be saying yes, right?
This was my hairline 6 months ago, and this is it now.
Like if you see that kind of transformation, you obviously want that transformation if you're facing that same problem, okay? And then let the other person save face. The reason why I included this one is because when you're creating direct response ads, you never want to preach to someone, right? It's very difficult to sell to someone if you're trying to preach to them and say, you're doing this wrong, you should do this. Like no one likes to be told that they're doing something wrong. No one likes to feel that they, are stupid for doing something or not doing something right. So what you want to do is you want to let the other person save face, right? And the other person in this case is the viewer. You want to use first person stories. I did this, I was wrong. I used this, it didn't work. I found this product, it works, right? That kind of frame is much different. But by doing that, we're allowing the other person to save face, and we're also allowing the viewer to see themselves in our ad, right? See themselves in the transformation. They're going to gravitate towards that, right? People gravitate towards stories, right? So that's really what we're getting at here. And then, we're seeing different forms of intensification in this ad. We're going to go through these in a bit more detail when we watch the second ad right here, which is another excellent ad. So let's just pull up this ad and watch it.
My wife burst into tears when she saw my hair this morning, but not because I did anything wrong. For the first time in years, I looked exactly like the man she married. No more scattered grays aging me 10 years. No more distinguished look that didn't do me any favors. No more looking like Santa's younger brother. And the craziest part? I didn't use hair dye. I didn't get any treatments. I didn't even change my diet. All I did was switch to this weird gray bar of soap. Let me explain. 3 weeks ago, I looked like every other guy my age. Gray patches spreading faster each month. That old man look creeping in, feeling less confident by the day. Then my buddy Mike showed me something. He pulled up a video about this bar of soap that's helping men get their natural hair color back. I know. Sounds like a scam, right? That's exactly what I thought, until I saw the science behind it. See, your hair doesn't just turn gray as you age. It loses color when tiny cells in your scalp stop working. But here's the thing nobody tells you. These cells don't die. They just go to sleep. And this soap, it wakes them up. It's called the Spartan Gray Hair Reverse Bar. Each bar contains natural compounds that reactivate sleeping color cells, essential minerals that feed your hair what it needs, deep cleansing agents that remove years of buildup. You just use it in the shower like regular soap. That's it. No complicated routines, no messy dyes, no expensive treatments. Just watch as your natural color returns. This isn't some cover-up job. This is your own hair-producing color again. Look what happened to these guys in just 3 weeks. Thousands of men are already using this. It works whether you're blonde, brown, red, or black. And right now, you can try it at 77% off for 6 bars, plus a 90-day guarantee. If you don't see your natural color returning, you get every penny back. My wife says I look 10 years younger. But honestly, I just feel like myself again. Tap below to order your Spartan Gray Hair Reverse Bar because you don't have to watch your hair fade away. When bringing it back is this simple.
Okay, amazing ad. Longer than the last one, like 2 minutes and 23 seconds. And a lot of people would say this ad is way too long. You're never going to hold engagement for that long. It's just wrong, right? Like if you have an ad this good that has, like, I want to highlight something here that we haven't spoke about before. And this is about the pacing of the ad, right? And this is so important. The editing, the post-production is just as important as the content itself. If you have amazing content, but it's not edited in a way that holds engagement, then it's going to fall short. Now, when you watch this ad, notice how the scene changes every 2 to 3 seconds most times, right? The visual changes, like it keeps you engaged, okay? It's like a rule of thumb, a pacing to hold engagement, right? So we just watched some of it again.
My wife burst into tears when she saw my hair this morning, but not because I did anything wrong. For the first time in years, I looked exactly like the man she married. No more scattered grays aging me 10 years. No more distinguished look that didn't do me any favors. No more looking like Santa's younger brother. And the craziest part? I didn't use...
Okay, so notice how the pacing changes, the B-roll changes, the B-roll changes. Never is there a time when someone is talking to the camera. This video is produced with B-roll and an AI voiceover. All you need is B-roll, you need some stock footage, AI voiceover, right? Of course, you need an amazing script and a framework, which we're just about to go through right now. But also notice how it's like kind of a pacing. It stops like black screen. Like, let me show you how. Let me explain. Because it's a long ad, these are kind of like, oh, you can almost think of these as checkpoints, right? And I'm just going to pull this up again.
Look that didn't do me any favors. No more looking like Santa's younger brother. And the craziest...
This part, right? It's kind of like a checkpoint. The music stops and it's like, it allows you to re-engage. It re-hooks the viewer in throughout the video. And we've seen that multiple times, okay? So let's actually break this down as we did with the previous ad. So the emotional hook, right? My wife burst into tears when she saw my hair this morning. That is an amazing hook. And it taps into emotion, right? Of course, we're going after a specific demographic, and that is, you know, guys who have wives. And yeah, opens with a powerful emotional moment, as we saw. And then what we do is we amplify the pain points, right? So we agitate the pain. And this is really important when you're trying to educate people who are less aware about, you know, about your solution and of course your product. What you want to do is you really want to agitate the pain because you want to make the customer feel understood. You want to have the customer saying, yes, like that's me, I'm facing that problem. The more you can do that, the more effective your ad is going to be, okay? So if you just look at those pain points again, just close this one.
My wife burst into tears when she saw my hair this morning, but not because I did anything wrong. For the first time in years, I looked exactly like...
Right, like that is, like, I looked exactly like the man she married. It goes deep into the emotional pain points, but also it goes deep into one of the 8 core desires that we have wired into us, the life force 8. One of those is sexual companionship, and it is the one in the desire to be seen in a good light by, you know, the opposite sex or the sex that we're attracted to, right? That's basically it. That's one of the strongest core desires we have as humans. And it goes back to evolution, right? Survival and reproduction, okay? And going back to the man, you know, looking like the man she married, it taps into that desire.
Man she married. No more scattered grays aging me 10 years. No more distinguished look that didn't do me any favors. No more looking like Santa's younger brother.
Santa's younger brother, metaphor, right? So metaphor is another intensification principle. If we can use metaphor, we can use, it just makes things a lot more vivid.
And the craziest part? I didn't use hair dye.
Okay, so now we're going into failed solutions. So like we saw before, you want to dispel and you want to talk about other solutions the customer is using, and then you want to disqualify them, okay? So what we're doing is we're creating intrigue by dismissing typical solutions, no dyes, treatments, or diet changes, introducing the unusual solution as a weird gray bar of soap as well. Okay, so we just watch this again.
I didn't get any treatments. I didn't even change my diet. All I did was switch to this weird gray bar of soap.
And what this is an open loop, and it creates curiosity, right? We're introducing the solution. We're not yet really introducing, like, technically we're introducing the product, but not like the name of the product. So it's like we're creating an open loop of curiosity, and the customer obviously wants to see, well, what is this weird gray bar of soap if it's not one of the solutions that maybe I've already tried or read online or, you know, heard from my friends. So yeah, let's continue watching.
Let me explain. 3 weeks ago, I looked like every other guy my age. Gray patches spreading...
Introducing timeline and stretching benefits over time. Remember that intensification principle. We're going to see that again right now.
Each month. That old man look creeping in, feeling...
And notice how, like, we're subtly just agitating the problem, like just pressing the pain point again and again and again. That old man look, the feeling less confident by the day.
Confident by the day. Then my buddy Mike showed me something.
Right, product discovery. And this is important as well. Like, a lot of times when you're doing direct response ads and you're doing like product discovery for those less aware segments, is like to make it not look like an ad is like you need to have some sort of story behind how you actually discovered the product, right? You saw an ad, your friend introduced it to you, your doctor put you onto it, like whatever it is, okay? So this is what we see the product discovery. Now we're going into scientific proof and product education, which again, really, really important.
He pulled up a video about this bar of soap that's helping men get their natural hair color back. I know. Sounds like a scam, right?
Right, so you're siding with the viewer, like, of course, at this point, yeah, it's going to sound like it's too good to be true. Let's call it out. Let's not shy away from it, right?
Exactly what I thought, until I saw the science behind it. See, your hair doesn't just turn gray as you age. It loses color when tiny cells in your scalp stop working.
Okay, so scientific proof, right, and product education as a result of that.
But here's the thing nobody tells you. These cells don't die. They just go to sleep. And this soap, it wakes them up. It's
Okay, so what we're doing is we're linking what we introduced as the unusual bar of soap to the science, right? You introduce the science, you educate, and then you link that to your product, right? You link that to the solution, and what that does is it creates the connection in the consumer's mind.
called the Spartan Gray
Okay, now we're introducing the name of the product
Hair Reverse.
at 1 minute and 17 seconds, right? A lot of time I see ads that introduce the product too soon. And what that means is that you get a lot of drop off because everyone says, oh, this is an ad, oh, scroll. And what you want to do is you want to try and, like, the longer you can wait to introduce the product, sometimes the better, because it means that you can do a lot more of the agitation of the problem, the product discovery, the science, the education, and you're just getting more buy-in from the customers before you actually introduce them the product.
Bar. Each bar contains natural compounds.
Okay, so now we're going into features, which are more the ingredients, okay? So we went through science, a unique mechanism that isn't simplicity. Again, we're just going to see this in just a moment as well. But what we're doing is we're highlighting the simplicity of using the product, as we saw in the last ad as well. You want to make the effort and sacrifice as low as possible, and you also want to reduce the amount of time it takes to achieve the desired outcome of reversing gray hair, right? So reducing friction, of course, objections around the use of the product as well. Like, am I going to have to use this? How much do I need? All that stuff. We're answering those as we go.
Reactivate sleeping color cells, essential minerals that feed your hair what it needs. Deep cleansing agents that remove years of buildup. You just use it in the shower like regular soap. That's it. No.
Okay, so low effort and sacrifice. You don't need to do anything new. You just use it in the shower like a soap. It's just a quick switch for what you're already doing, right? And that's so important. It's subtle, but it's key. Because if we have to, if the customer has to jump through a bunch of hoops and do a bunch of things or like spend a bunch of time, like it's not as strong of an offer, okay?
Complicated routines, no messy dyes, no expensive treatments.
Failed solutions, right? We're dispelling those failed solutions.
Just watch as your natural color returns. This isn't some cover-up job.
Going back into the objections, like it's not a cover-up job. This is like the real deal. It actually works.
This is your own hair-producing color again. Look what happened to these guys in just 3 weeks.
Right, now we're getting social proof and a lot of social proof.
Thousands of men are already using this. It works whether you're blonde, brown, red, or black.
Will this work for me if I have black hair? Will this work for me if I'm blonde? Right, we want to answer all objections, take your FAQs, take the questions that your customers have, and answer them in your ads.
And right now, you can try it at 70.
Okay, so now we're going to the offer. Okay, so social proof, obviously universality as well to address diverse viewers, right? We're showing all those different hair types, a risk reversal and urgency, again, as we're going to see in just a moment.
7% off for 6 bars, plus a 90-day guarantee. If you don't see your natural color returning, you get every penny back. My wife says I look 10 years.
Okay, so again, CTA, guarantee, urgency, like we're seeing the same things in both ads, and that's not a coincidence. But also it goes back to the principles of intensification as we went through before. Obviously, one of them is a guarantee. We also saw how like easy it is to get the benefits by reducing the effort and sacrifice, right? Showing that it's just a switch for your shampoo. We presented the claims by showing those early on in the video, the before and afters, like this bold claims for that hair reversal. We put the claims in action by showing the user itself, like the before and after, that almost like the guy that was talking in the video. As to how that changed, right? We showed it in multiple cases. This one didn't have experts approving, but the previous one did with the barber, and can compare, contrast, and prove superiority is talking about those failed solutions, right? We're comparing ours to those products. We're saying, it doesn't have the side effects, doesn't have this, doesn't have that. It's just, you do this every single day and it works, it's easy, and that's it, right? And now we're gonna see right here is personal reinforcement, emotional close, but also looping, right? Looping is when you round off a point, right? Where the first, if you remember the hook of this video, was my wife was crying when she saw my hair, right? Now, at the end of the video, we have my wife says I'm like 10 years younger. We're looping back, right? We're creating the connection from the beginning and the end of the video. And, a lot of great stories do this, right? The start of the story is going to connect to the end of the story. So this is, just a great way to link that back together and just close it off with, that CTA as well. So let's watch the end of the video again.
Younger, but honestly, I just feel like myself again.
Okay, here, very, very important and very subtle. If you caught it, well done. But this is sexual companionship. And this is like, notice how the girls are looking at the guy.
Younger, but honestly, I just feel like myself again. Tap below.
Okay, so confidence, sexual companionship, social approval, all these are core desires that we have as humans. Every human has these desires. They're hardwired into our brains. We can't, get rid of them. So they're very powerful to use in ads, right? And finally,
Order your
tap below to order.
gray hair reverse bar because you don't have to watch your hair fade away. When bringing it back is this simple.
Okay, so again, amazing ad. And that is really what I want to share in this video, right? These ads are very, very well structured, some of the best ads I've seen. And I would highly recommend rewatching this video as an action step, seeing what frameworks and what you can take and apply to your own brand, and start to build ads in this way. Start to take a more scientific approach to these ads and have this process. And by the way, as I mentioned, this is something that we do for clients. We handle things across media buying, ad creative, CRO. We'd also do email marketing. So we focus on acquisition and retention. If that's something you're interested in, then yeah, link below this video. You can book a call and yeah, we'll chat more about your business. If there's a fit for us to work together, we'll take next steps. If not, I'll let you know up front. But yeah, that's it for this one, and I'll see you in the next video.